She lied, she left, she disrespected you. And now you're stuck asking yourself why. Let me be clear. If a woman hurt you emotionally, mentally, or even through manipulation, you don't deal with it by crying, chasing, or over-explaining. That's how you stay broken. Today I'm going to show you how to handle a woman who hurt you in a way that's not just effective, it's transformational. This is not about revenge, it's about power. This is not about ego. It's about elevation. So listen closely, because if you apply this, it 100% really works. Step 1. Acknowledge the pain without victimizing yourself. Pain is inevitable. Whether it comes from betrayal, rejection, manipulation, or silent abandonment, it enters our lives like an uninvited. But what most people get wrong is they choose to sit with that pain. There's a dangerous line between feeling hurt and becoming the hurt. Between allowing yourself to process emotions and allowing those emotions to define you. You have every right to feel what you feel. You are not weak for being disappointed, broken, or emotionally hurtled. But the moment you turn that pain into your identity, into your daily narrative, you stop healing and start spiraling. That's the trap most men fall into. They confuse vulnerability with victimhood. They hold on to the wound not as a reminder to protect themselves, but as a justification to stay stuck, to keep reliving what went wrong instead of asking what needs to change within. When someone hurts you, especially a woman you trusted, you must give yourself full permission to feel that wound without judgment. Denial only extends the suffering. You're not a machine. Suppressing the impact won't make you stronger. It'll only numb you until that pain explodes in another form. Anger, bitterness, emotional shutting, so acknowledge it, sit with it. Let yourself be human, but do it privately, purposefully, and with the intent of exiting that space, not camping there. Emotional awareness isn't weakness, it's control. Knowing why something hurts gives you leverage. It teaches you where your boundaries were too flexible, where your validation was externalized, where your intuition was ignored. Pain, when processed with clarity, becomes a teacher, not a person. Victimizing yourself is a form of silent self-sabotage. It convinces you that you're powerless, that the online narrative that matters is the one where we're done wrong. But power doesn't come from rehearsing the betrayal. Power comes from observing the betrayal, dissecting the dynamics, and then recalibrating how you move from here on out. The world does not reward men who's in pain. It rewards men who convert that pain into personal evolution. But first step isn't pretending to born fist. It's allowing yourself to feel everything deeply without becoming emotionally paralyzed by it. Victim hooges the illusion of comfort. You start to believe the story that you're broken in. Slowly you gather evidence to enforce that belief. She did this to him. They always do this. I must not be good enough. Those are narratives born from unresolved emotion. The mind will always try to make meaning out of emotional chaos. And if you're not actively guiding it, it will script the worst conclusions. That's why acknowledging the pain has to come with conscious awareness. You have to recognize the emotion without letting it narrate your worth or your identity. You can feel betrayed without being avenged or disposable. You can be sad without labeling yourself as unlovable. Emotional intelligence doesn't mean not feeling. It means feeling correctly, fully, and then choosing who you become in the aftermath. Step 2. Withdraw your energy, not just your presence. Walking away physically is easy. Any owner can block a number, delete a contact, or stop showing up. But what most people fail to realize is that physical distance means nothing when your energy is still deeply entangled. You may not be in her life anymore, but if she still lives rent-free in your mind, if your thoughts orbit her every silence, if your mood still shifts with her attention, you haven't truly left. Presence is surface level. Energy is the real currency of emotional power, and until you withdraw it, you are still in some way giving her control. That control doesn't always look obvious. And sometimes it's subtle, like checking her social media just to see how she's doing or replaying old conversations in your head trying to decode what went wrong. These small actions may seem harmless, but they are investments. Each one is a psychological tether, keeping you connected to a dynamic that is no longer serving you. Energy withdrawal is the internal discipline of refusing to engage even in the privacy of your own thoughts. It's not just about cutting communication. It's about starving Theband. It's about not feeding the emotional attachment that keeps you bound. When you continue to dwell on her, to react to her online behavior, to wonder if she's thinking about you, what you're really doing is sustaining the illusion of connection. You're giving away emotional bandwidths that should be fueling your own healing, your own evolution, your own forward motion. And the truth is most people stay energetically connected because that bond, no matter how toxic, feels familiar. It feels safer to stay stuck than to face the discomfort of detachment. But comfort is not the goal. Clarity is. And you only reach that clarity when you become intentional about where your energy flows. To withdraw energy is to claim authority over your attention. It means refusing to let her name in your head every time you wake up or go to sleep. It means shutting down fine pulse to send that one last message hoping for closure or validation. It means resisting the urge to monitor her online because you understand fate every view, every like, every stalk. It's not just passive observation. It's an energetic transaction, one where you are paying with your peace. The Musava men are not those who disappear from a woman's life. They are the ones who disappear from her relevance. Because when you no longer react, wench no longer triggers a response. Wench realizes her access to your emotional attention has expired. That's when the tables turn. Not because you made a scene, but because you made a decision. This kind of withdrawal requires emotional discipline. You have to train your mind not to wander back to her, not to daydream a butra concilian, not to replay her words in hopes of a different outcome. You have to become conscious of your internal monologue and catch yourself whenever your energy begins drifting back toward her and then redirect it to your goals, your healing, your purpose, your growth. Step 3. Don't chase closure, become it. Closure is one of the most seductive lies we chase after heartbreak. We convince ourselves that if we could just get one more conversation, one more apology, one more honest explanation, then maybe the pain would make sense, maybe the confusion would settle, maybe the ending wouldn't sting so much. But what you didn't realize is that chasing closure often becomes just another way to stay connected to the very thing that's breaking you. It keeps you in emotional limbo, constantly waiting for someone else to grant you peace that you could building on your own. And more often than not, the closure you're begging for doesn't even exist in the way you think it does. Because even if they give y'all the answers, it won't change the outcome. The relationship still ends, the betrayal still happened, the damage is still done. So the real question becomes, are you asking for truth or are you asking for comfort? When a woman hurts you and leaves you with unanswered questions, the impulse to seek clarity is human. But clarity that relies on hair is dangerous. You're placing your emotional healing in someone else's hands. Someone who already showed you she was capable of wounding you. And they heard truth is the same person who hurt you is rarely the one equipped to help you heal. She might not be ready to be honest. She might be too selfish, too guarded, or too oblivious to even recognize the impact of her actions. She might deflect, minimize, or worse, blame you for what happened. And the more you chase that final conversation, the more you hand her the power to validate or invalidate your entire experience. That's not closure. That's emotional tendency dressed as hope. Real closure isn't found in her words. It's found in your decision. It's the moment you stop needing her to explain what she did and start focusing on what you'll no longer know. It's the point where your need for peace outweighs your need for her presence. Closure is not a door she closes for you. It's a door you lock behind you, knowing you'll never return to that kind of treatment again. You give yourself closure when you stop romanticizing her potential and start accepting her reality. You give yourself closure when you stop replaying what could have been and start confronting what actually was. You become closure when you decide that your worth is not up for negotiation, especially not with someone who made you question it in the first place. The problem is that closure has become a performance in modern relationships. We think it has to come with deep talks, long texts, dramatic endings, or mutual understanding. But most of the time I tends in silence. Abrupt, confusing, brutal, and that's where true growth begins. Not in her explanation, but in your ability to accept the absence of phone. You take the mess, the uncertainty, the betrayal, and instead of waiting for it to be sorted by her, you organize it yourself. You build peace from chaos, meaning from loss, structure from heartbreak. Step 4, elevate your standards, not your ego. When someone disrespects you, the first thing most people do is reach for their ego. The instinct is to prove a point, to show the other person what they lost, to remind them what they gave up, to demonstrate that you're still desirable, still valuable, still powerful. But what that actually reveals is insecurity, because real strength doesn't scream, it doesn't post revenge stories or flirt out of spite, it doesn't seek to be seen be the one who discarded it. It moves insolence with standards so high Thetan who caused chaos would never get opportunity to even witness graded version. When a woman hurts you, the answer isn't retaliation or desperate reinvention, it's transformation. But that transformation must come from a place of self-worth, not wounded pride. Elevating your standards means redefining what you tolerate, what you entertain, and what you give access to. It's not about becoming cold or emotionally unavailable. It's about becoming clear. Clear on what you observe, clear on what you're no longer willing to compromise. A lot of men confuse ego with standards. They think that ignoring women, acting indifferent, or becoming emotionally detached makes them more powerful. But those are just ego-based performances. Real standards didn't need theatrics. They don't need proven, flaunted, or spoken aloud. They're embedded in your behavior, your choices, and the energy you allow around you. You don't have to yell, "I've changed." The way you move will show it. There's a maturity in setting higher standards that ego simply can't reach. Ego reacts, but standards reflect. Standards are created in solitude, in self-respect, and the quiet realization should come after being disrespected. One or too many times? Standards say, "I'm neither to control how you treat me, but I'm fully in control of how close you get of me based on how you behave." You no longer tolerate mixed signals, inconsistent effort, or manipulative fecti. You no longer try to forsake a mystery or beg for reciprocity. You observe, and based on that observation, you act. No emotion, no drama, just alignment. When your standards rise, a shift happens. You no longer crave a validation from the very person who broke your trust. You no longer fantasize about being chosen or proven right. Instead, you become obsessed with your own peace, your own growth, your own discipline. You start to realize that self-respect is more fulfilling than revenge, that your boundaries are not walls, they're filters. Filters that separate the ones who are capable of loving you from the ones who are only good at using you. And in that shift, the need for ego fades because the ego says, "Make her regret it." But standards say she never gets the chance again. It's easy to let pain turn you arrogant. It's harder to let pain make you selective. But if you want lasting strength, let every disappointment train you instead of harden you. Reseor standards, not to punish anyone, but to protect the peace you had. Build from scratch. Step 5, replace reaction with strategy when someone hurts you, especially when it's unexpected, manipulative, or passive-aggressive. The first instinct is to react, to confront, to call them out, to prove you're not weak, not blind, not stupid. But reacting is emotional. It's immediate, impulsive, and often messy. It gives the other person power over your emotional state because they pushed a button and watched you respond exactly how they expected. That's not strength. That's being predictable. And the truth is, if Somione knows they can control your energy by disrespecting you, they'll keep doing it. If not directly, then indirectly. The smarter move is to step back, pause, and analyze the situation with emotion. That's where strategy begins. Because while reaction feeds the ego, strategy protects your position. Strategy is quiet. It doesn't show itching. It doesn't announce that it's shirt. It doesn't beg, explain, or plead for understanding. It studies the behavior, the patterns, the Energy shifts and then decides the next move based on what serves you, not what satisfies the urge to be heard. It's easy to send a long message, to call her out, to expose her lies or make her feel guilty, but what does that actually achieve? Most of the time, it gives her more attention, more emotional control, more insight into where your mind is. Reaction says, I'm still affected, but strategy says, I'm not playing your game. That shift changes everything when you move strategically. You stop acting out of pain and start responding with precision. You begin to understand that not every insult deserves a reply, not every betrayal needs to be dressed. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is observe silently and reposition yourself entirely. You don't scream about the disrespect. You. McKeasure never has access to you again. That's how power is reasserted. Not by raising your voice, but by raising your standards and adjusting your presence accordingly. Strategy means you move with discipline, not drama. You redirect your energy from the chaos back into your goals, your healing, your routine, your self-worth. You also begin to realize that strategy is not about manipulation, it's about intention. It's about knowing who you are, what you observe, and making decisions that protect your peace. You're not ghosting to create confusion. You're not withholding affection to punish. You're in it playing mind games. You're simply operating on a level where your emotions don't control your decisions. You give a space where needed, draw lines when necessary, and walk away without an announcement when your boundaries are revealed. You no longer need validation from the same person who caused the wound. Your healing no longer depends on their understanding. You reclaim your emotional energy not through reaction but through mastery of self. Reaction is about impulse. Strategy is about intention. And once you learn how to delay your emotional response long enough to evaluate the situation from a position of strength, you stop handing people the blueprint to your emotional triggers. Step 6. Make her absence your catalyst, not your crutch. When she leaves, whether quietly or violently, with words or with silence, something in you breaks open. And in that space where her presence once lived, you have a choice to make. You can either let her absence become the reason you spiral, or you can let it become the spark that sets fire to your transformation. Most people don't understand this. The pain of her absence isn't what destroys you, it's what you do with it. Some men use it as a crutch. They use it to justify their self-destruction, their stagnation, their bitterness. They say she ruined me and carry that story like a scar they've grown attached to. But pain was never meant to be a permanent identity. Her absence can be the beginning of your evolution if you decide to stop feeding the wound and start feeding the rebuild. It starts with accepting that she is gone, and not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, energetically. The version of her you loved, the moments your play, the potential you clung to, they're not coming back. And the longer you hold on to the ghost of what once was, the longer you delay the man you could become. Her absence isn't just about her being gone from your life, it's about removing the gravitation outputs she once had on your self-worth. You can't rebuild if your foundation is still tied to someone who already chasito exit. You don't get stronger bimmerning forever. You get stronger by choosing to make that loss mean something. Not for her benefit, not to prove anything to her, but because you owe it to yourself not to remain stuck in a chapter she closed. Making her absence your catalyst means turning every ounce of pain into power. It means going to the gym with intention, notescape. It means leveling up your career, not to impress her or any O'Neills, but because your legacy matters more than lost love. It means rewiring your mind to focus on growth, not grief. You're not trying to win the breakup. You're trying to win yourself back. The self you lost while chasing her approval. The self you forgot while tolerating disrespect. The self you buried under emotional dependency. When she left, she didn't take your potential with her. But if you let her absence define you, that potential will sit there unused and wasted while you drown in memories that no longer hold value. Her absence is a blank space, and you should decide what fills it. You can fill it with regret, resentment, and rumination. Or you can fill it with discipline, purpose, and self-respect. You can make it the trigger that wakes you up at 5 a.m., the reason you study harder. Train smarter, work with more focus. You can let it push you into solitude. Not to sulk, but to strategize. Not to hide, but to rebuild with intention. Her absence can either become the chain around your ankle or the fuel behind your rise. It's not about forgetting her. It's a boot bearing. You, fellas, understand this. Her leaving didn't destroy you. It revealed you. It showed you where you were too soft, too forgiving, too available, too dependent. And that's not a weakness. That's your wake-up call? So don't sit in the ruins hoping. She comes back to rebuild what she chose to walk away from. Use the silence, use the distance, use the pain, and build something so powerful, so grounded, so self-defined that her absence become irrelevant. Let her absence be the birth of your next level, not the death of your identity. Because the truth is, you were never meant to stay broken. You were meant to become unshakable, nor eyes.